All right, welcome to the channel, folks. Today on Eonan's Edge, I'll be reviewing the new Orion Knives Solaris. Let's jump right in with some basic specs on this knife. 14C 28N stone-washed, flat grind, clip point blade with a fuller. Black micarta scales, it's a button lock. It's got full stainless steel liners. It's running on dual row ceramic ball bearings. We got a tie pocket clip on the back of it. You've got 2 5/8 of an inch of usable fine cutting edge. You got a scale length of pretty much 4 inches right on the money, and a tip to tail length of 6 1/4, and a weight on my digital scale of 3.45 ounces. So let's jump right into what I like. Clearly, the Scorpio here takes its design cue points and its DNA from its bigger brother, the Orion Solaris. So obviously, you can see there's a lot of cool design elements that were carried over, but there's also a few new refinements on the Scorpio. So let's talk about that stuff. The refinements in the ergos. The micarta handles, I think, are nicer. They're a little bit more rounded off. It feels like there's an addition of a scalloping on both the left and the right side. So if you want to pinch grip this knife for some small slicing tasks, it works great for that. And ergonomically, the knife feels well. They carried over the huge finger choil from the first knife. So anybody, even with big meaty fingers, is going to like this knife a lot. There's plenty of room here on this choil. You can hold it back here if you want, but it's really meant to be held in this position. The little roll here, this kind of little upslope here where your finger goes in this normal cutting position is nice. But I love the jimping that they did on the front. David added this, and with a clip point, it works really well because your finger really just sets right down in there. So if you're doing some slices where you're looking for some precision, this will work really well. And then, like I said, you can pinch up here and put this finger up front. So really good ergos, really solid on that. The other thing they did was they added a blade fuller. So there's technically 3 methods of deploying this knife now. You've got your flipper tab, your thumb studs, and your fuller. I mean, obviously you can deploy it by opening the button and flicking the knife out. That's not something I prefer to do most of the time. But the 2 best methods, believe it or not, the blade fuller works great and the thumb studs. I'm not a fan of the flipper tab on as a deployment method. It works fine as long as you're giving it a meaningful push. And that is a characteristic that carried over directly from the Solaris as well. The Solaris always seemed to deploy better, I believe, with the thumb studs, and I feel at least that's the case with the Scorpio as well. But the fuller on this knife here works really well, surprisingly well. So let's talk about a couple of other things here. The build quality is really good. Obviously, QSP was the OEM for both of these knives, and there's nothing wrong with the build quality on either one. The fit and finish is very good on both knives that I have here. The size is perfect. It has this big front choil like I talked about. You've got a few different grip positions. The knife feels good in your pocket. So, you know, the Scorpion feels more carry-friendly, I think, than its bigger sibling, but that's going to depend on what size knife you're comfortable carrying. For me, this fits a little bit more into my EDC rotation as far as the overall size of the knife, both in length and thickness. But again, very, very carry-friendly. The blade performed really good. I did cut up a bunch of cardboard, whittled some wood shavings and stuff with it. I haven't had the knife that long. I got it a couple days after it dropped, and I've been carrying it every day. I've been trying to put it in my pocket and to use it here at the house. So it has performed well so far. The blade has held up well. Let's talk about dislikes or any issues with this new knife. So it's not really a big deal, but this is the same pocket clip that came on the Solaris. Exactly the same clip. When I reviewed the Solaris, I said that the pocket clip was a little on the thin side as far as allowing you to get in and out of your pocket really well. especially if you're wearing anything more than very thin shorts, pants, whatever. And so that is something that carried over onto the second knife. It does provide a nice slim profile that's not in your way. There's 0 hot spots. It's a beautiful tie pocket clip. It's really well designed. I wish it would have been a little taller. Thin pocket clips seem to be a hallmark from this particular OEM. And it's something that I thought maybe might get changed slightly on the newer knife, but that is not the case. We have the same pocket clip. So I take a little bit off for that because I feel like this is a good pocket clip, but could have been a better pocket clip if it just had a little bit of angle to it or the base height was a little taller. Let's see, what else do I have here? There's not a whole lot else. The knife didn't come very sharp. I don't want to say it came dull. That would be wrong. I checked the angle on both sides of the blade. It lined up good. It's got a nice looking grind on it. It doesn't look uneven or anything like that, but it wasn't very sharp. However, in full disclosure, I did strop the knife a few times very nicely on my full leather strop with some compound polish, and it sharpened right up like that, really nice, and it's been really good since then and for everything else I had. I was just a little surprised it wasn't very sharp out of the box. I would not say it was dull by any stroke of the imagination, but it didn't have a super sharp edge on it when I got it. So there you go. I mean, there's some of the basics on this knife. If you own a Solaris and you like it, you're gonna love this. If you're looking for a smaller, more agile, easier to carry in your pocket, a little less bulky knife than the Solaris, then you're gonna love the Scorpio. It has some really great ergos. It's a good, solid looking knife. Again, all the design cues that made this such a great knife are present in the Scorpio as well. So again, if you love this knife, you will love this one. I personally think this is, for me, is even better than the Solaris. And I'm excited about this offering because I feel like this is a knife that a lot of people for this price point, around $85, can really get into and like. And there's a bunch of different colorways that Orion/David has put out. There's blue micarta, there's some black washed blades, there's kind of a really light color scale. I just picked up this one because I wanted to get one in hand right away and check it out. And it's a great little knife. It really is. There's great ergos in it. There's some nice design refinements. And I think this was a logical next step for Orion knives to go after building a full-size knife over here, to make some refinements to it, cut it down a little bit in size, but still give you great ergos, good quality blade steel, good build quality from QSP. So there it is. There is the Orion Knives Scorpio 14C28N, micarta, button lock. That is the deal. The knife is pretty much a winner. Other than the small pocket clip issue, the knife is really cool. They added, like I said, added a few refinements and gave us a great little small EDC knife that's well worth the investment at $85. So let's give you a couple of quick size comparisons here, just so you can kind of see. You can see it next to this knife. If you have a Solaris, then you know what that's like. But let's show you some other knives in this same size range. This is the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio. Man, almost identical in size. Virtually the same length, a little bit more cutting edge on the Scorpio, but similar size and even kind of similar width. The Scorpio is a thicker knife than the Biblio, which is not a thin knife, but not super chunky. One of my all-time favorite carry knives next, the EMP EDC Nimble, pivot to pivot. There you go. You can kind of see they are very similar as well. Similar cutting surface, similar overall size and length, but the Nimble is obviously a very thin profile knife that feels like it disappears in your pocket. And then finally, I'll give you one more up here. We'll show you the TRM Neutron 2, Three Rivers Manufacturing Neutron 2. Pretty popular knife in this size category. And as you can see, very similar in size. But again, the Neutron is a super slender little boy. And the Scorpio is a much thicker, more robust looking knife than the TRM is. So there you go, folks. There's some size comparisons. There are my initial thoughts on this knife. Check it out if you get a chance. It's well worth the price. All right, that is the Orion Knives Scorpio. I am Ionin. Thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more content in the future. And as always, everyone, stay sharp.